purchase process of this property, which will answer as much as we can. So we purchased this property through auction. Curious to know how everyone's French is coming along. Do you find you can survive living day to day if you aren't fluent? It's a big thing for me to do. We just couldn't bear the thought of just putting them in French school and letting them survive. You know, that was out of the question. There's days that you can feel a little bit homesick. You know, I can't nip to my mum's and have a cup of tea anymore. So there is days where it just gets heavy. Where is the guy is the question everybody is wanting to know. Now, we did go and see the police.
Let's do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, this is gonna be hard.
Wait, it's because we've went to bed too late last night.
No, honey.
Got up too late this morning. It's true. It's
Yeah,
true
I know. I got woken up on Sunday morning by Nancy and a friend wanting to do shopping. Monday morning because of the storm and the whole getting Seth to school. And then Tuesday morning because it was Nancy's birthday. And then this morning. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to a brand new video. We thought it'd be good to put a Q&A video together because there is so many unanswered questions on our whole house moving journey, the purchase process, living in this part of France. There's just lots of questions arising which I wanted to wait and sit down with you and answer them in full. And we've got quite a few to go at. So I would say 90% of them at the moment are just sticking to all of the house moving topics, the renovation and the whole process. So that's what this video is going to be about today. So let's get straight into it. First of all, I'm going to answer the questions which are on my Patreon account. So Grant and Erin have quite a few questions here, which I'm just going to sift through. Curious to know how everyone's French is coming along. Do you find you can survive living day to day if you aren't fluent? It's been a very, very difficult journey, especially at the beginning, like for Ryan, when we first moved here. He had all the mortgage and everything to sort out, and we had to sort obviously the schools and basically just get set up with life, which was such a headache for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, lots of French paperwork. So
yeah, always
the paperwork side of things is tough.
Yeah.
There's a hell of a lot of long French documents that you have to try and translate, which is easier now than it was before because of Google Translate. Obviously, you just take a picture and read it all, but it doesn't always translate so easily. But yeah, you can get by as long as you can use Google Translate and you find the right person to help. There's always admin assistants and things like that who are fluent in French and English, and they offer really, really good services. It's not cheap, but definitely worth it for more complicated documents.
Yeah, things that are just too much. Like, we use a lady, don't we, that sorts out bits and bobs that are just, you know, if we haven't got time and we just need it sorting properly and be confident that it's done properly.
Like dealing with certain institutions, you know, such as like Department for Work and Pensions and things like that, then obviously that's quite a complicated situation, and you've got to do that in this country as well with the French version of that when you arrive and deal with all your URSAF things, which is tax and all that sort of stuff. And it's better to have somebody who knows what they're doing and can read and understand the documents than trying to translate them yourself and see and second guess what you've got to write in each box and all that sort of thing. So
yeah, it just gives you much more confidence that it's been done properly.
Yeah.
And what does that charge, that service, how much is that usually?
It's actually on the more expensive side. It is €100 an hour, but it's very good. You can get cheaper
We just
services,
use it for the really important stuff, and she's very, very good. But in regards to our French, obviously it has improved since we first got here. Our first mission was always to get the kids fluent in French. That was our main goal. Like, if we could give that gift to them and they're growing up here, we thought it was so important. So that was our main mission. So when we first moved here, we were so anxious and worried about how the kids would adapt, and we wanted life to be as similar and as easy as possible. So we took the initial route of putting them in a international English speaking school, which was quite expensive, but we thought, you know, it's going to feel somewhat like home, because we just couldn't bear the thought of just putting them in French school and letting them survive. You know, that was out of the question. So we did that, and shortly after, because we moved here in November 2019, then COVID came, and there was lots of complications anyway. The kids were in and out of school, and we quickly saw how well they were adapting to life here. We were really surprised how well they took everything. And then at that point we thought, they're still young, we've got a certain gap, let's take them out of this international school and let's just put them into French school, because they're going to learn the language, they're going to be surrounded and soaked up in French every single day. The brains were young like a sponge. Yes, it was very, very difficult. We did have difficult moments. We had tears. You know, there was days they really, really didn't want to go to school. The teachers called us in for a meeting, because the teachers even felt sorry for the kids, because they said they were just looking at the clock all day, wait until break time, wait until lunch time, and they said, you know, their brains are just shut off from French. They're not doing it, they're blocking out. So they advised us to get a French teacher as well, which we have done for parts of it. And then there was just some transition where everything changed and it started coming thick and fast, didn't it, for them? Yeah. So it was tough. It was extremely, like, I was riddled with guilt, but our goal was just to always make their home life so comfortable and loving that it would just make up for the anxiety they were going through at school. And now, happy to say, they are just
brilliant.
Like half French, like they're both so fluent. Seth's got an underlying bit of an accent. Nancy, no accent whatsoever, to the point where one of her friends at school actually said to her, how come you were born in England if you don't speak English? I mean, wow. She smashed it. She was obviously 2.5 years younger than Seth, so her brain was at that crucial point. And
she was 6, which is the cusp of the harder to learn language barrier for the brain, I believe.
Right.
It's like a sponge for communication until the age of 6.
Yeah. So they've done it, which honestly, so proud. And when you hear them, it's just amazing. Yeah. So any tips, or for anybody that's thinking or about to move with children and you're really worried, honestly, just go for it. Be their comfort blanket at home, guide them through it, but just be strong and be firm and let them know that there's no going back. You know, I'm here to support you, that's it.
Kids are resilient and adaptable.
Yeah, as long as the home life's okay, I think they just can get through anything, and it's so worth it. And for us now, French it's so difficult. Ryan naturally picks up a lot more than me because he has to with work. He has to order materials. He's running a business out here. And you just have to sort of come across things where you have to learn a lot more, like, often than me, don't you?
Yeah, I'm not amazing by any stretch. I can't really string a sentence together, and I'm always second guessing how it's spoken in French, but I do understand a hell of a lot of words now, and I can read documents and kind of get the gist of what they're talking about, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you pick out a word in the sentence, it kind of put you on track of what's being spoken about, and then you just gradually pick out more words.
Yeah, you gradually, that's the way to do it. At first it's like a big massive wall of words, isn't it? You're like, oh, I can't climb it.
Yeah,
I'm never going to understand that.
Like for so long,
it's overwhelming.
You think you know words, and then you listen to French people speaking, it just sounds like
noise.
Just noise, yeah.
Just noise.
Whereas now it doesn't sound like noise. I'm
no.
like, And do you know what, guys? I've got something to tell you. I've actually started French school. Yeah. Who is this?
I know. It's about time.
Listen. Okay.
We've been busy. We've been.
It's
Yeah.
it's a big thing for me to do.
And it's easy now, though, isn't it? Because we live in the city.
We live in the city.
So it's accessible.
So yeah, it's easy to do. I'm there twice a week for an hour and a half, literally sat at a table with a book, with a pen in a classroom. It's a lot and it's very hard for me because I must say I do struggle with learning. I feel like I learn in a different way to others. I really struggled at school, and now that I'm back at French school, like it just brings all the feelings of school back. But I'm doing it, I'm there out of choice, and I'm going to give it my all. And you know what? When the course is finished, if I don't understand, I will take the course again.
She's been revising.
I've been revising, yeah. I've been like asking the kids more questions. I'm much more curious. I really do want to learn. I just know that I've got to break past that barrier with me because it's a struggle. It is. But yeah, we're getting there and we've managed to get by as long as we have.
But just as a caveat to that, if you are moving to more rural parts of France, even Provence, for instance, they don't speak a lot of English at all in those parts.
We're in a part of France where
it's
English
very
is
multicultural.
Very spoken here.
It's an international, hub.
Part of France, yeah.
So we've got it pretty easy because there's so many different nationalities.
Okay, so that's covered the French situation. There was also a question from Grant and Erin about the kids' schools and how they've settled now, because they've done a few school moves since we moved here, because we've moved areas, and like I say, we took them out the international, put them in French system, things like that. So at the moment now, Seth is at school in the city, which is great for him, and he seems to have just got straight on with it, and there's been absolutely...
They both seem the happiest they've been at school.
Probably because they're the most confident now with the language, and we've done a lot of change with them, so they've adapted. Seth's really happy, and Nancy is now at dance. She's at a superior dance school where she does 50% dance, which is, we drive her there. It's 10 to 15 minutes drive, depending on traffic. And she does long days, Monday to Friday. Some days she doesn't finish till 6:30 p.m. And then some weeks she's even there on a Saturday as well. So it's very intense school, but wow, it's perfect for her. And it's like a little family. There's like 11 in her class.
11 kids.
It's like a family.
It's not
so
just
special.
a class, that's the whole school year. Isn't there? 11. Crazy.
Yeah, so, we just feel so lucky that we put her on the right path and she's ended up there and worked really hard. But they're both happy, they're both content, and both in French schools. So, in the new home, how long does it take to travel to the grocery store and the lingerie, pharmacy, etc.? So we're literally in the city. We're like 10 minutes walk from the city centre. And, I can walk to the market, the Fresh French market, Marche Fauville, in 10 minutes.
I'd say it's the best market on the Côte d'Azur, that market.
Would you? And then there's a pharmacy literally, across the road from me, like 2 minutes away. The beach is a 3-minute walk from here. We're literally a stone throw away from everything. It's
for the first time in our whole entire lives.
Yeah, we've never done city life before, ever.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It feels so good. And I know it's fresh, and you do always pick out the positives in a new situation, and then, you get used to it. But honestly, it just feels so nice, doesn't it? Like, we never thought we'd like city life for so long, but actually...
We're used to having big open views, quiet, all that sort of thing. We come here, we've got none of that. It's road noise constantly outside, but I don't miss it. I like being where everything's happening. Yeah,
it just feels... Just like, for example, there's days that you can feel a little bit homesick. You can't just... I can't nip to my mum's and have a cup of tea anymore. So there is days where it just gets heavy. when I was living in the mountains, that would feel so much heavier than now. You know, you get those feelings, you get those thoughts. You don't necessarily have to plan to do anything. You just step out of your door. I can go for a walk along the beach. I can walk up into the city, and I can feel like I've actually done something in my day and been distracted and seen people. You know, it's just nice to be in it. And I think it's easier if you're moving from another country to deal with those feelings if you're in it, rather than just feeling lonely.
Yeah.
So that leads on to a question from a lady on Patreon who's put, "Hi Fern, we have just made the leap like yourself a few years ago and moved to Provence. I was wondering if you settled straight away, as I'm feeling a little bit in limbo at the minute. It doesn't feel like I'm on holiday, neither does it feel like I'm at home. It's very strange." I completely get that, definitely, and I've had bouts of those heavy feelings, and they can still come now, you know. Especially I used to always struggle with the winter and with Christmas time, because I'm so used to seeing all the streets in the UK lit up at Christmas, and I love just driving along and spotting the lovely Christmas trees, and all that nostalgia is taken away from you, because I was so shocked when I first moved to France. I was like, why doesn't people decorate the houses here like they do in the UK, you know? And I was really hoping to see lavish decor and so many bits and bobs that make you just so homesick. And it is a strange feeling because, like you say, you don't feel like you're on holiday. It's reality, it's everyday life. But then also it doesn't quite feel like home, because everything that you associate with home isn't here. And then you miss family, you miss friends, it gets heavy. And I wouldn't say it ever goes away. Well, maybe it does, you know, we've done 5 years almost here now. Maybe it does eventually go away, but for me, it's still there a little bit. Like, I never feel 100% at home. And I think, like I said, the way to deal with those days is to just keep busy and get outdoors and don't overthink. And it's also, when you've got kids and a family, it's not just about you. Like, you have to think about them. They're settling and they have a life, and you can't just think, oh, you know, I'm going to nip on a flight back, because it's not just about you. So you get distracted with family life and it goes away and then it resurfaces again, and that's how I live. But life's not perfect, and if I moved back to the UK, I would also miss this place like crazy. And when I go back there for a short visit on holiday, as much as I've missed it, I also can't wait to get back. So
yeah,
it's
a few days before you're like, ready for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get me back to Riviera.
Get me back to Riviera.
It's just like that all the time. But I think the longer you spend in your place, the more it shifts. But yeah, it's horrible. I'm sorry you're feeling like that. All I can say is just keep busy, get through it, don't give up, and hopefully, yeah, I don't know. What about you? You've never really missed home, have you?
No,
if
I like
anything,
travelling.
It's always me.
I don't, because I like sport. And
yeah, you
like
always
that, and
found
it's so
it difficult
much easier
in the UK
here.
doing sport.
Yeah, whereas
Outdoor
in the UK, you've, especially in Doncaster, it's a bit crap, to be honest. You never know if you're going to get a good day if you're going out on your bike and stuff like that. And then obviously living near the sea, I love living near the sea. Before, we used to live an hour away from the sea, and the sea was brown. So, you know. Listen, I think we should do the auction question.
Okay.
And then I think you should finish the Q&A and let me take Nancy to school.
Okay.
Okay?
So we've got lots of questions about the purchase process of this property, which we'll answer as much as we can. So we purchased this property through auction. It was a website called
Tribuca.
Yeah. And when we purchased our initial property in France, we did you know, we dealt with a estate agent and did it like
The traditional
way
route
that people would know it.
Mortgage, estate agent, all that normal jazz that you do when you buy a house.
Yeah. And then we found out about the auction website a little bit later, and we would have a look on there. The first experience we had with it was a property that came up on there, because we would always just like go on and have a browse. It's really, really interesting to see what comes onto the website, because they come on for the price. Just explain how the initial starting bid starts, how you get.
So on the auction website, you'll see various properties, and the initial price is actually the debt that is owed on that property to the bank. So they have to list it for that as the minimum fee. That's the minimum bid because they want to get their money back, basically. So you might see properties with a starting bid of 30,000, or you might see a property with a starting bid of, recently I saw one that was for 12 million euros, and that was in Villefranche. And that's because that is what that person or whoever owns that property owes to the bank. So it's their legal right to do that, to start it at that minimum bid. It's not because that's what the house is technically worth. It's not a reserve price. It's kind of a reserve price, I suppose, because it's the start price. But they can't sell it for less than that during that auction.
So we first browsed on this auction website. We saw a villa which was in a village called Opio. And we know Opio very well, and we went to see this villa. So what they do on the auction website is usually they'll have 2 open days for viewing on the property. So they'll list the dates. You can either go on the first or the second or both. And we went to the first open day on this property that came up, because it just looked amazing. It was a beautiful villa. It had lots of gorgeous features. I mean, it had been left stood without any attention for years, so obviously it appeared that there was a lot of work to do, but there weren't really a lot of work, was they?
No, tidy
Went to
enough.
the first day and we loved it. We were so interested, so we're like scrutinising everybody that's come in and looking round. So there was a few investors, there was quite a lot of couples there. Didn't actually notice any families there, but yeah, there was quite a few people dotted about. And we had our solicitor lined up and everything to bid, because you can't bid yourself on the property. We'll talk about that in a moment. But we were very, very interested. And then we went to the second open day as well, more of to scope out who was there again. And we decided last minute to pull out of that auction, because we thought there was quite a lot of people there and we would get outbid and lose our money and, you know, psych ourselves up, and we just withdrew ourselves from it, didn't we?
Yeah, because you have to pay the solicitor who represents you €250 just to go and register the bid. And we didn't feel like we wanted to do that.
And not just that, you have to hand in the cheque as well.
You have to hand in the cheque as well. So shall I just quickly explain the process? Right, so you go on the website, you see a property that you like. The first thing you should do is find a solicitor in that area that deals with properties within that region. So if the auction is in Cannes, for instance, that falls within the Grasse district, so you have to find a solicitor that is registered in Grasse, and they have to be a specific property solicitor. You can find them online. I just found them on Google and tried a few, emailed a few. Not all of them speak English. It's preferable to get one that speaks your language, obviously. After you've done that and you've registered your interest to bid on that property, if they're not already dealing with one other client, which sometimes they are because they can only act for one person during one auction, then they will say, yes, it's okay, I can bid for you, and it costs €250 for them to then register your bid. Then what you should do is go and see the property and make sure that you are interested in buying the property first. Now, you do that during one of the 2 open days that Fern were talking about. You can either register to say that you're going, or you can just turn up on the day. Usually it's all right. Then, if you're still interested, you send them to the auction. Now, before they go to the auction, you've got to literally hand them a banker's cheque, which has to come from a French bank, and it has to be for 10% of the reserve price or the initial bid price, plus a cheque for €250. Now, this banker's check must come from the bank. It cannot come from your checkbook for your bank account. It doesn't work like that. You have to go into the bank and they have to give you a banker's check for the balance. And obviously you have to have that money cleared in your account before they can write that check.
We learned that the hard way.
We did learn that the hard way,
yeah.
But that's for another story.
Yeah. Basically, there was another property that we saw that we ended up bidding on, and the lady said to us, you need to hand the check in. So we just assumed a check for this amount, okay.
Yeah, I drove to her office in Antibes.
Yeah, dropped
She goes,
it off.
no, not that check, a banker's check. I'm like,
So then it took me days, because Ryan was working
2
away.
days.
2 days to get the bank to sort it out, because nothing's fast in France.
Nothing.
I literally went to the court on the day of the auction. I had to be there really early in the morning, and I had to actually go into the room where the auction was being held and hand the check to the guy in the gown and leave.
that's funny, that.
It honestly,
Brilliant.
it was such
It's like something out of Emmerdale, isn't it? Running into the court. Where's my room? Where is the check? I have the check. And we didn't even win it anyway.
No.
Thank God, actually.
So basically, what we're trying to say is the auction process isn't simple. It's not straightforward. It's very complicated. You have to have lots lined up. So then this property that came up, guys, was the third dealing that we'd had with the auction website. We was quite relaxed about the whole process by then, because it wasn't new to us.
Yeah, we knew exactly what we needed to get.
Came up online. The photos that were online were just out of this world. It was just utter mess. You couldn't see the area of the property because of piles of mess and things. If you've been watching the journey on our previous videos, you'll know that the previous owner was a hoarder and really struggling, and it was very dirty, unlivable basically.
Yeah.
And we saw these photographs and just thought, wow, we want to go and see this. It looks super interesting. Not many people are going to be interested in this property, surely. We're the only crazy ones that sees the work and takes things like that on, so we couldn't wait to come and view it. We came to the second viewing day, not the first. We didn't come to the first, and we didn't expect many people to be here whatsoever because of the utter mess. And we was driving, we'd come on quite a drive, and we was looking for it, and they were literally queuing onto the road to view this property. We'd never seen an open day like that before, had we?
No.
Ryan's got to leave now because he's got to go to work, and he's dropping Nancy off at school on the way to work, so...
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
I will be finishing it off with you. Love you.
Love you, bye.
Love you. Have I got a washing machine getting delivered?
Yeah, after 1, it's coming.
So guys, let's carry on. Just me, but I hope I can answer everything that you need to know. So yeah, we pulled up to view this property, and the queues were just like I'd never seen them before. And this was on the second viewing day as well, not the first. But we parked the car because we drove for nearly 40 minutes to see it anyway. So we joined the back of the queue, and then we're stood in the queue for like half an hour, and we're still not even near the front, and we're like questioning, like, shall we just go? We're never going to get this. This is ridiculous. But we didn't, and we stuck it out, and we thought, let's just view it, let's just view it. We came in, the previous owner was here as we were looking round. We wasn't sure if it was the previous owner, but we kind of just guessed, and we're like, oh, okay. And yeah, it just felt very intrusive. It was, as you know, very messy. He'd definitely not tidied up before the viewings. It was a lot. So we just had a very, very quick look round. You couldn't really see what you was taking on because of all the stuff. But all I saw was features which I loved. So the high ceilings, I loved the front door, I loved the French door windows, just all the original features. I thought, oh my gosh, I've never owned a property with original features like that, like older property. And I've always wanted to, and I just imagined what we could do with it. That's what just grabbed my attention, really. I just saw past the mess, and me and Ryan are a little bit crazy. We love work. We seem to be drawn to hard work. I think it's just where we're from. It's our Yorkshire roots and ways. Like, you don't get anything given on a plate. generally where we're from. You have to work for everything, and that's all we've ever known. We've watched it, we've grew up with it, we know it. So yeah, we were just so intrigued and wanted to get our hands on this property. And obviously the best part of it is the location for us, how close we are to Cannes, our favourite city on the Riviera, and also it's on a private gated domain which feels very safe, great for the kids. We're so close to the beach, we're literally over the road from the beach. There's just lots of pros. It's not for everybody. Not everybody would love living here because the road noise is quite noisy, but that just doesn't seem to bother us, especially for this chapter of our life. We're a working, busy family, living in our chaotic years, so not a problem for us. It was super fast. Once we'd paid the money, we got the email, "You're the owners, congratulations." And then it said, "I suggest you go and see the previous owner to get the keys," which at that point we were like, okay, this is really strange. So we drove here, all the shutters were shut, it's in absolute darkness. We ring the bell, nobody comes, the shutters don't move. So then we go towards the back and up and round the back steps of the property. We knock, we wait, there's no answer. Eventually, this guy comes to the door and we're like, oh, okay, he's not started packing or anything. Came back the following week, nothing had been done. Spoke to him, found out his story, felt very sorry for him, but also thought, oh, what do we do in this situation? He had no plans, nothing. The following visit, we went and bought some like big cardboard boxes and we brought them for him, and we said, you know, we're going to come next week, can you please pack these boxes and next week we'll bring you more. The following week we came, absolutely nothing had been done. The boxes were in the same place, nothing had been touched. We realised that we're kind of being manipulated here because he would promise to do things and then not carry out the promise. And yeah, I just started packing boxes for him, and I literally had to pack every single box. Like, we had to deal with the entire contents of the property ourselves. He did nothing. We did go and see the police just to kind of understand our rights and where we stood in this situation, because we had no idea what to do. Every bit of advice we got and everything we researched was very loose-ended and tricky. We showed them the documents that we'd bought this property. It was going to be our main residence. We're a family. Surely we have some rights. We've got children. And he said, this is a big problem. This is very complicated and very common in France. We were like, okay, right. But he's not a squatter. He's not a tenant because we've never taken any money from him. He's the previous owner. And he just couldn't really give us any answers. And he said, it could take 3 years. 3 years. When I heard that, I just thought, oh, okay, that's what we're dealing with here. This is a big problem. He said, okay, what we can do is we can come to the property with you, ask the guy to leave, but if he doesn't leave, there's nothing we can do about it. That was the policeman's words. That's when I knew we had to deal with this whole situation by ourselves, continuing very gently, just give it our best go without getting anyone else involved, because what I didn't want to do as well is get other people involved, so then you kind of get to know your rights and what you should and shouldn't do, and then just get where you're at a point and can do nothing. So I got to know the guy better. I would always speak to him, give him as much time as possible, be respectful, understand that he's been through a traumatic time, and I genuinely wanted to help this guy. That was always my intention. Like, best case scenario, what I wanted to do, because as I spoke to him more, I got to know that he loves Italy. He wanted to move to Italy. And I thought, we can get him to Italy. But it was all very one-sided. He wasn't helping us. It was all, you know, we can do this, let's do it, and he'd just do nothing. So there comes a point where you have to just be firm and realise that you're not going to get anywhere with this person. They aren't always going to want to take your help, which is really, really difficult. I can't speak too much about every detail of this process because we'll be here all day, but as a lot of you know, I documented the process on previous videos. You can see lots more of that story there, but we gradually moved him out of the main building because it was health and safety issues. We weren't insured to have him in here. It was literally a building site. He had his bed in the middle of a building site. Honestly, it was just, thinking back, I can't believe what we did, but we moved him to the downstairs room. So we've got a little downstairs room, which I plan to have as, you know, a boot room, a washroom, a bit of a utility space down there. We moved him down there. It had water, it had a toilet, we put electricity down there for him, so he had a cable so he could have aircon machine and radio and whatever. And he was down there for quite some time. We wrote a document to say, you know, you've got 4 weeks down there, and at the end of the 4 weeks you have to go, and he signed it and everything and agreed. And then the 4 weeks passed and it just rolled over, and at this point we're so deep within the renovation and have to be moved in here that we just couldn't really give him the time. He used to stay in there all day with the door shut, and we'd say on multiple occasions, because it was the only toilet that we had downstairs in that room, and all the people working here would need to use the toilet, so we'd say, please leave the door open so people can use the toilet, and he'd say yes, yes, and then 5 minutes later it's closed again. So he weren't even sticking to rules, he was just doing his own thing. The hoarding had started to build up again in that downstairs room, empty bottles, empty jars, rubbish. It was just slowly turning into the same mess as what was in this place. Anyway, time passed, the date passed. At this point, I am just so done of giving my time and energy and trying to help somebody who's not giving anything back. Professional help, he didn't want to take it. Like, I was just at a brick wall with this guy. And in the end, I just decided, tomorrow's the day. I'm going there. The date's passed. You know, he knows he shouldn't be down there, and I'm just doing it. The day came, I went down in the morning, I knocked on the door, he opened the door, I says, why are you still here? The date's passed, you need to leave. And he'd say, Ryan, did you speak to the Mayor of Cannes? The Mayor of Cannes is ringing you. And we've heard all this story before, so I was like, okay, great, we'll look forward to the phone call. You need to leave, let's go. And he was just like stood at the door, kind of blocking me. So I said, Ryan, can you come and take the door off, please? So Ryan come, took the door off the hinges, put it upstairs, and I just went in and I started putting his stuff in boxes, grabbing his bags and getting them out of my property. And he'd be like, no. I'd be like, you need to leave, thank you, come on, keeping it very short, very blunt. And I was just carrying all his stuff over to the garage. And then the last item was the bed. And he was just like doing everything in snail pace, like taking as much time as he possibly could, like having a drink, going on his phone. There was no urgency, but I was just happy to be getting this stuff out. Anyway, we put it in the garage. Now, very quickly, there's a bit of a story with this garage situation. So when we purchased the property, there was no garage included. We didn't realise we would be getting a garage. We didn't know anything about a garage. We wanted this place, you know? And then after getting to know him, he told us about a garage around the corner. And we were like, oh, right, it comes with a garage. He was like, yes, it comes with a garage. Yes, the garage belongs to this property. We were like, oh, bonus. We didn't know that. So we used the garage to put all this stuff in, and then we looked back through the paperwork and everything, investigated this garage situation, realised that the property wasn't sold with a garage like we thought, and that this garage, there'd been a dispute ongoing with it for years and years about who it belonged to. So that actually did us a favour because we could put all this stuff in there, and it's, you know, not our problem kind of thing. Where is the guy is the question everybody is wanting to know. Now, I believe he's still in the garage. Sad situation. Not the ending that I wanted, what I hoped for. I was always willing to give to this guy, you know, but he couldn't live with us. He couldn't be around my kids. Like, there is a cut-off point. Now, I see him at the beach. We have done like a smile and a nod, but he's never been back here, and there has been no communication between us since he left. I can say when I see him out and about at the beach, he's speaking to people. He appears to have friends. Visually, he looks better than he did when he was in this situation, because when we first came to the property and he first opened the door, I don't think he'd seen daylight for... His skin was like so pale and transparent, like vitamin D deficiency. I don't think he left the place, honestly. Lived in darkness, all the shutters shut. Yeah, he looks a lot better these days. I've seen him when his clothes look like they're falling off him. He looks like his clothes fit. That's all I can say. Like, have I made a man homeless? Like, you can think of it like that, but there is homeless people that don't have a garage for shelter with all the things there. I think you get a good allowance now when you're homeless. Like, you certainly won't be going without food. I think there's places that he'll know about that he can go to, and I had to just like close off from it, guys, unfortunately. Part of me, like, when I see him, I want to ask, like, how you doing? How's it going? But then I also just think, don't go there, you know, keep that barrier up, because I've got to protect my kids and just think about us. I don't want to put myself in a situation again. That's what I'm kind of protecting us from. But saying that, if he knocked on my door tomorrow and said, please, can you take my things to Italy? Can you help me? I would, but I can't give him a place to stay. I just can't. But yeah, it was difficult. He was difficult. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with. But I can happily say we did it. And we also beat the system of that 3-year period which we were given and thought we might be dealing with at one point. We did it alone, and we did it very gently, and there was no violence involved, and yeah, we did it, guys. He has gone. So the property, the renovations, they'll be continuing in the vlogs. Lots of plans here. Plan for the downstairs room, make it into a lovely utility space where we can keep beach stuff and washer, dryer, sink, storage. That's the plan with the downstairs room. So this property has got, because lots of people want to know the living space and the space that we're dealing with. I believe it's 106 square meters, I think, this property. Lots of you want to know the size. So yeah, we've got the main kitchen living space. We have got 3 bedrooms. One of them we turned into ensuite, and then we have got the main bathroom and then the downstairs space, and there is the little patio garden area outside as well, which some of you have asked if it's shared or if it's private. It's private, so nobody else comes in or uses it as an access point. We have got nobody above us or below us, even though it's an apartment, which I think is just such a rare thing. And yeah, I just love living here so far. I feel like I'm actually living more because I can just do so much more. Like I said, I can walk up into the city, I can go over to the beach. I just feel so much more in it, and I'm doing the French classes, and I feel like I'm living. Like, living in the mountains, I don't think was right for the chapter of life that we're in at the moment. So yeah, all is good, but what else can I answer? I think that's pretty much the main questions answered for this Q&A about the whole process and living here. So I'm going to just keep it all to that, and I think we've gone way over time as well now, so I'm going to wrap it up, guys, but I'll do another Q&A with you soon. Like, if you've got further questions, we'll go over it again, because things do build up and I like to sit down and have a proper chat with you all so we've all got a good understanding and I can answer them properly. But thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this Q&A. Let me know if you've got further questions in the comments down below, and I'll see you all soon in my next video. Bye.